Anand joining us. And Anand, hi, good afternoon, and thanks for your time today. Your first take on these numbers, SIP shining bright. On the flip side, on net outflow figures, what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think you called it right. SIP numbers are looking very encouraging, especially in a time when the last 12 months or so Nifty is given flat in terms of returns. I think it's been great amount of maturity displayed by retail investors to kind of stay invested and stay the course. So that way, I think SIP numbers are very heartening. Remember, I think September has also been a very busy month in terms of primary markets with a lot of IPOs coming. That notwithstanding, I think we've seen very strong retail flows coming into secondary market, which I think is heartening. In as far as the equity number is concerned, I think it's a tad lower than August. So what was 33,000 crores in August, coming in at 30,000 something is not a bad number, I would think. I think it's in line. And like I mentioned earlier, I think there was a lot of IPOs in the market in September. So despite that, I think equity flows have been strong. I think the interesting thing, if you were to look at, is the number which has come in gold. I think gold flows have gone up almost 4x over August. What was 2,000 crores in August is roughly 8,300 crores of inflows in gold ETFs, which I think is a very strong number. So I think it reflects the positivity which we've seen in the asset class. Not surprisingly, I think in the same context, if you were to look at multi-asset, for instance, which is basically a fund which invests across equity, debt, and other commodities, precious metals in particular. Even multi-asset has seen strong flows, roughly 5,000 odd crores. So I think that's the interesting shift which we are seeing.
Okay, Anand, if I can also ask you for a view with regard to the small caps, because that both on the total flows coming into small caps for the month of September, financial year to date, calendar year to date, the flows look extremely strong and continue to hold up. Talk to us about that segment, because there have been concerns now for a while with regard to the flows coming in there, and that they continue to remain quite strong.
So, good point there. I think if you were to look at September, for instance, it's coming at roughly 4,300 crores. The interesting part is I think the retail investors, if you were to look at, have been very, very nimble and smart, I would say. While I think small cap was the darling of investors till some time back, if you were to look at the flows now, it has started tapering a bit. So, just to give you FITD numbers, small cap is now 27,000 crores of net inflows, vis-a-vis flexi cap, which has seen roughly 37,500 crores of inflows. So what was numero uno category, last year in terms of inflows, ceases to be that way. And flexi cap, which is really a combination of mid, large, and small. I think investors have decisively started moving more allocations there, and to that extent, small cap allocations on a relative basis has come off. Even month on month, I think small cap has registered relatively lower numbers. What was 5,000 is now roughly 4,300. So to that extent, I think it's kind of ebbing a bit.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on the small cap end. But Anand, like Harsh was pointing out, there has been a trend where the small cap throughout in the last so many months, and in fact in the last year as well, all throughout has been outperforming the mid cap and the large cap in terms of the inflows that it has been receiving. Any turnaround you're seeing, because we are seeing some strength, at least on the equity front, coming back to mid caps. Do you think that could influence some retail investment?
I think mid cap this month is, the absolute number is higher than small cap. So mid cap is roughly about 5,000 odd crores of inflow. It's the second largest category, or second only to flexi cap. I think remains to be seen whether this continues, because in an equity valuation sense, I think mid cap is more expensive than small, and small more expensive than large. So to that extent, I think mid caps certainly seem to be slightly stretched in terms of valuation. But I think if you were to look at YTD numbers, I would say it's almost even Steven between mid and small in terms of flows. There's very little to kind of choose between them. So I'd just leave it at that.
Anand, and we will leave it at that as well. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us that perspective.